By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to build a dividend portfolio that pays you money every single month for doing absolutely nothing. And you will have a step-by-step plan you can start today with as little as $50. I am not talking about some distant retirement fantasy. I am talking about real cash hitting your bank account while you sleep, while you travel, while you spend time with your family. This is the exact system that turned a 23-year-old teacher making $42,000 a year into someone collecting over $31,000 annually in passive dividend income before she turned 40. And here is the part that makes this even more incredible. She never earned a six-figure salary. Not once. She just understood something about dividend investing that 97% of people never figure out. But before we get to the one strategy that most financial advisors will never tell their clients, one that can literally shave 7 to 10 years off your journey to financial freedom, let me walk you through exactly how this works from the ground up. By the time we finish, you will understand the 3 pillars of dividend investing that separate people who actually live off their dividends from people who just talk about it. First, I am going to show you why dividend stocks are the single most underrated wealth-building tool available to regular people. Second, you will learn the exact criteria I use to pick dividend stocks that actually grow your income year after year instead of trapping you in yield traps that destroy your money. Third, I am going to reveal the precise portfolio structure that generates monthly income, even though most dividends only pay quarterly. Quick, if you have ever felt confused about where to start with investing, or if you have tried before and felt overwhelmed by all the conflicting advice, hit the like button right now. It tells the algorithm this content is valuable and helps us reach more people who need to hear this. Let me paint a picture for you. You wake up tomorrow morning and check your brokerage account. There it is. Another $247 deposited overnight. You did not work for it. You did not sell anything. You did not trade options or stare at charts. A company you own a tiny piece of simply made money and decided to share some of those profits with you. That is dividend investing. That is what we are building toward. But here is the brutal reality most people face instead. The average American retires with just $255,000 saved. Sounds like a lot until you realize that only generates about $10,000 per year in safe withdrawal income. That is $833 a month. That is poverty. Meanwhile, inflation keeps rising, Social Security keeps getting shakier, and the traditional retirement advice of just save enough to slowly spend down your nest egg leaves you constantly anxious about running out of money before you run out of life. I have watched people work 40 years, do everything right by conventional standards, and still end up stressed about every grocery bill in retirement. It breaks my heart because it does not have to be this way. There is a completely different approach that Wall Street does not advertise because they make more money keeping you confused and dependent on expensive financial advisors. But here is what nobody tells you. Dividend investing is not just another investment strategy. It is a fundamentally different relationship with money. Instead of building a pile of cash you slowly destroy, you build an income-producing machine that never stops paying you. Let me explain how dividends actually work because most people get this wrong. When you buy a share of a dividend-paying company, you become a partial owner of that business. If the company makes profits, the board of directors can choose to distribute some of those profits directly to shareholders. That distribution is called a dividend. Here is a concrete example. Let us say you buy 100 shares of Johnson & Johnson at $150 per share. That is a $15,000 investment. Johnson & Johnson currently pays about $4.80 per share annually in dividends. That means your 100 shares generate $480 per year in passive income. Not theoretical gains, not paper profits that disappear in a market crash, actual cash deposited into your account 4 times per year. Here is where most people get this wrong. They focus only on the yield, that percentage number, and chase the highest yields they can find. They see a stock paying 12% and think they hit the jackpot. But extremely high yields are almost always a warning sign that the dividend is about to be cut or the company is in serious trouble. The actionable fix is simple. Focus on companies with moderate yields between 2 and 5% that have a long history of actually increasing their dividends every year. These companies, called dividend aristocrats, have raised their payouts for at least 25 consecutive years. They survive recessions, they survive market crashes, they keep paying you through everything. Now let me show you the magic of dividend growth. This is where the math gets exciting. Imagine you invest in a company paying 3% today. Sounds boring compared to that flashy 12% yield, right? But this company increases its dividend by 8% every single year. In year 1, you earn 3%. By year 10, that same investment is yielding over 6% on your original money. By year 20, you are earning almost 14% on your initial investment. Same shares, same original investment, but your income more than quadrupled. Here is a specific example that will blow your mind. If you had invested $10,000 in Home Depot 20 years ago, you would have received about $250 in dividends that first year. Decent, not life-changing. But Home Depot has increased its dividend aggressively. Today, those same shares you bought for $10,000 would be paying you over $2,400 annually in dividends. That is a 24% yield on your original investment, and the shares themselves are now worth over $200,000. This is the power most people completely miss. But here is what nobody tells you. The first few years feel painfully slow. You invest $1,000 and receive maybe $30 in annual dividends. Big deal, right? Most people quit here. They see that $30 and think dividend investing is a joke. They go chase crypto or meme stocks or whatever is trending. Then they lose half their money and wonder why they cannot get ahead. Most people skip this step. Do not. The early accumulation phase is where discipline matters most. Those small dividends being reinvested are planting seeds that become money trees. Stop. Before I continue, this next part is critical. I need to explain dividend reinvestment because this is the rocket fuel that accelerates everything. When you receive a dividend payment, you have two choices. You can take the cash and spend it, or you can automatically reinvest it to buy more shares. In the beginning, always reinvest. Always. Here is why the math is so powerful. Let us say you invest $500 per month into dividend stocks, averaging a 3% yield with 7% annual dividend growth. After 10 years of reinvesting every dividend, you would have about $86,000 and be generating over $3,000 per year in dividend income. After 20 years, you would have over $250,000 generating almost $12,000 per year in dividends. After 30 years, you would have over $700,000 throwing off nearly $42,000 per year in passive income. That is $3,500 per month without touching your principal. Here is where most people get this wrong. They start spending their dividends too early. They see that first $100 payment and immediately transfer it out for dinner and drinks. Every dividend you spend is future income you will never have. The actionable fix is to pick a specific portfolio value or income level where you will switch from reinvesting to spending. Mine was when dividends covered my basic living expenses. Until then, every penny went back in. If you have made it this far, you are already ahead of 95% of people, and what I'm about to share in this next section is the most valuable part of this entire video. Do not skip it. Subscribe to @WealthDecode Plus if you have not already. We drop a brand new money strategy every single day at 6 p.m. Hit that notification bell so you never miss one. This next section changed everything for me. Let me teach you how to build a monthly dividend income stream, even though most American companies pay quarterly. The secret is strategic diversification across payment schedules. Most dividend stocks pay in one of three cycles. January, April, July, October is one cycle. February, May, August, November is the second. March, June, September, December is the third. When you intentionally own stocks from each cycle, you create monthly income. Here is exactly how I structure this. I divide my dividend portfolio into 3 equal portions. 1/3 goes into stocks paying in cycle 1, like Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, and PepsiCo. 1/3 goes into cycle 2 stocks, like Apple, Home Depot, and Target. 1/3 goes into cycle 3 stocks like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and Walmart. Now, instead of receiving 4 large payments per year, I receive 12 smaller payments every single month. When you are living off dividends, this monthly cash flow makes budgeting dramatically easier. Here is where most people get this wrong. They accidentally load up on stocks in the same payment cycle and then face 2 months with no income. The fix is simple. Track your payment months in a spreadsheet and intentionally balance your purchases. Now I need to pause here because this is where most people go wrong with portfolio allocation. They put everything into one sector, usually whatever is paying the highest yields at the moment. Right now, that might be energy stocks or real estate investment trusts. Then that sector crashes and their income gets destroyed. True dividend investing requires diversification across at least 5 or 6 sectors. I personally allocate roughly 15 to 20% each across healthcare, consumer staples, technology, financials, industrials, and utilities. Each sector behaves differently during economic cycles. When tech struggles, consumer staples often hold steady. When industrials drop, healthcare usually remains stable. This diversification means your dividend income stays relatively consistent, regardless of what the economy does. A specific example brings this home. During the 2008 financial crisis, banks slashed or eliminated dividends left and right. People who had loaded up on bank stocks for their high yields saw their income evaporate overnight. Meanwhile, those diversified across sectors saw maybe a 15% income reduction instead of an 80% wipeout. Diversification is not about maximizing returns. It is about protecting your income stream. Here is a crucial concept most beginners miss entirely. You need to understand the difference between dividend yield and dividend safety. Yield tells you what percentage return you get from dividends at current prices. Safety tells you how likely the company is to keep paying and growing that dividend. I prioritize safety over yield every single time. A safe 3% yield that grows every year will make you wealthier than an unsafe 8% yield that gets cut in half during the next recession. How do you evaluate safety? 3 metrics matter most. First, look at the payout ratio. This is the percentage of earnings paid out as dividends. Below 60% is generally safe for most industries. Above 80% is a warning sign. Second, examine the dividend track record. How many consecutive years has the company increased its dividend? The longer the streak, the safer you are. Third, check the debt levels. Companies drowning in debt often cut dividends when times get tough. Here is my quick rule. If a company has raised its dividend for at least 10 consecutive years, has a payout ratio under 60%, and has manageable debt, it goes on my watch list. Let me give you the exact action plan to start building your dividend portfolio today. What you need to do today takes less than 10 minutes. Open a brokerage account if you do not have one. Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and Vanguard all offer free accounts with no minimums and no trading commissions. Then set up automatic deposits, even if it is just $25 or $50 per week. What you need to do this week is research your first 3 dividend stocks, one from each payment cycle I mentioned earlier. Look for companies you understand with products you actually use. Check their dividend growth history on sites like Seeking Alpha or Simply Safe Dividends. Make your first purchase. Do not overthink it. Just start. What you need to do this month is set up automatic dividend reinvestment in your brokerage account. This takes 2 minutes and ensures every dividend automatically buys more shares. Then create a simple spreadsheet tracking your holdings, dividend yields, payment months, and annual income. Watch that income number grow each month. Free tools that help include the Dividend Tracker app for monitoring your income, Yahoo Finance for basic stock research, and the U.S. Dividend Champions spreadsheet, which lists every company that has raised dividends for 25-plus years. It is completely free and updated monthly. Now let me answer the question I planted at the beginning. What is the one strategy most financial advisors never tell their clients that can shave years off your journey? It is this. Focus on dividend growth rate, not current yield. Advisors love putting clients in high-yield investments because it looks impressive on paper, but a stock with a 2.5% yield growing dividends at 12% annually will generate more income within 7 years than a stock with a 6% yield growing at just 2% annually. And after 20 years, it is not even close. The fast grower produces almost 3 times more income. This single insight is why some people reach financial independence in 15 years, while others never get there. Stop chasing yield. Start chasing growth. Here are your 3 key takeaways. First, dividend investing builds an income machine that pays you forever instead of a pile of money you slowly destroy. Second, reinvest all dividends until your portfolio generates enough income to cover your expenses. Then start living off the payments. Third, diversify across sectors and payment cycles to create stable monthly income that survives any economic environment. Comment below and tell me which of these 3 strategies you are going to implement first. I read every single comment and I will personally reply to as many as I can. In tomorrow's video, I am revealing the 7 dividend stocks I am buying in my own portfolio right now and exactly how much I am investing in each one, something that took me years to figure out and most people never learn. Subscribe right now so you do not miss it.